no curse in Elvish, Entish, or the tongues of men for this treachery.
You just look at the source material and try and be as faithful to it as possible.
I kind of do both. I've lived through this a few times now, so I kind of understand that. They're always on my shoulder, for sure. They're always sitting there because you don't want to disappoint anybody, but also I've learned that you have to just make a great movie. And actually the demands of film are going to have to come first. And that sometimes means you're going to have to change some of the story. But we never do it lightly.
Our fathers speak as if I were not even in the room. I do not want to marry you.
We didn't want to put any of our own, certainly in terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in putting our messages into this movie, but we thought that we should honour Tolkien by putting his messages into it.
You may wear a crown upon your head, but that does not make you a king.
I'm playing Saruman the White, the Wizard in The Lord of the Rings. Wonderful role. And The Lord of the Rings is going to make cinema history. It's going to have an impact unlike anything anyone's seen. I'm totally convinced.
I am no man.
From the appendices of Tolkien, many lords and warriors and many fair and valiant women are named in the songs of Rohan that still remember the North. Of the kings of the Mark between Errol and Theoden, most is said of Helm Hammerhand. Now, those are from two different pages. One is from 1040, and that was the second one about Helm, and 1039 in Appendix A, depending on the version of the book that you have, of course, of the story. That is straight out of Appendix A in part 2 of Appendix A, The House of Errol. Now, those are Tolkien's own words. Many lords and warriors and many fair and valiant women are named in the songs of Rohan that still remember the North. Of the kings of the Mark between Errol and Theoden, most is said of Helm Hammerhand. This movie literally starts with Éowyn narrating. Miranda Otto comes back, and it starts by saying that Hera, the only daughter of Helm, wild, strong-willed, strong-headed, and free. That's how the movie starts. And then a few minutes later, it says, do not look for her in the old songs, for there are none. Considering that she is the ultimate, just empowered, fierce, capable, independent woman, I have no idea how she was able to avoid any type of praise, any type of notoriety in the songs of old with Rohan. The idea that these other fair and valiant maidens would be remembered, but the only daughter of Helm Hammerhand, who was not named in the appendices, would be left out when she slew not one, not two, but 3 Oliphants on her own. Like, I am not, like, by herself, slayed 3 of them. And then her eldest brother, who is named, by the way, in the appendices, he, after having to hack away at an Oliphant's neck several times, he finally takes it down, and then he raises his hand and he's like, for Rohan, for our people, and then he gets shot through the throat, which, by the way, is not how he dies in the appendices. middle brother, so not eldest. And also, make this make sense. This whole freaking film is an absolute utter disgrace. Like, just reflecting on everything that I witnessed, I don't even understand how this got greenlit, how anyone thought this was a good idea, why Jackson was okay with putting his name on it. It's so bad, you guys. Even if, so let's set the lore aside for a moment, because they very much did. So we're going to set the lore to the side. Even if this wasn't a Lord of the Rings story, even if this wasn't the professor's work, if this had been a completely original idea, which is what they tried. Like, here's the thing. I have a feeling this is an original idea, but they knew that it wouldn't take off, so they had to shove it into something that actually has weight, has gravitas, because they don't. So they tried to tell their own story and use the professor as the vehicle to do so. That is exactly what happened. So we are, gosh, I was 8 minutes into the film when I knew it was going to be absolute dog shit. Because it just, the cadence was terrible. The pacing was awful. There are a few, I mean, it's anime, and anime is a beautiful medium, but it's choppy. It's, like, some of the scenes were okay, but then others, it was like they were doing the robot. There wasn't a very, there's not a lot of smoothness throughout this. And one of the things about anime, like, the fight scenes were pathetic, you guys. Like, I am coming at this from an anime perspective. Like I said, we'll put Tolkien aside for a moment. Just for the briefest of moments, because I want you guys, I don't know how many of you are anime fans. I don't know how many of you are, familiar with some of the bigger fight scenes that happen in certain anime, but like, anime is a decades old medium. It goes back 40, 50 years, something like that. Okay. It is, so anime is a Eastern animated medium. But here's the thing. Eastern, you cannot use an Eastern medium. This is why when people try to make a Western kung fu film, it doesn't work unless they make it as like a parody or something like that. You can't do it. You can't make a Western anime either. And Gaia Weiss, who voices Hera, oh god, that name, like, couldn't even attempt to get closer. They think that if they add the little inflection on it, it makes it sound less Greek and more Anglo-Saxon. It doesn't. They could have gone with Hela. They could have gone with Hannah. They could have gone with anything closely resembling Anglo-Saxon. I think, what is it? Helenia? That would have been so freaking pretty. No, we went with Hera, because why not? And there's so many issues, but one of the things about anime, one of the things that I love about anime is the detail, and the fight scenes are epic. Okay? All right. Big Trouble in Little China is definitely a parody, and so is well, maybe not Listen. Fine, I'll rephrase. Western kung fu films are harder to make. There, better. Because it is a different value system. But I still remember being like a kid, and we would Kamehameha, like, we were like, it was always, if you had missed the big fight that Friday or anything like that, you were SOL the next day because everybody was going to be talking about it, right? On Monday. And I know, oh no, I am sorry. I know you are. I know you are, guys. That's fighting words in terms of Enter the Dragon. That's why I paused, because there are exceptions to the rule, but you guys have to admit that that is an exception and not the rule. Western Kung Fu movies, for the most part, whilst I love them, are objectively not good. Okay? I'm just saying. I also, love the Aquaman movies. Objectively, not good movies. Like, they are B- at best. Which is hard for me to say because I do love them. But this is the kind of stuff that they were capable of in the 90s. Look at this coloring. Look at this detail. Look at this. Look at this just incredible. I'm telling you right now. Boom. Right? Okay. At no point does this look choppy. At no point does this look choppy. At no point does this feel like they are trying to skip or like cheat the system, right? They zoom in on faces, they zoom in on fists, they zoom in on on damage and everything like that. Like, this is from the 90s, you guys. Like, this is insane. The attention to detail, the amount of just, like, you can actually feel something coming off of the screen, right? Like, look, we're emoting. Okay? But there was even some of the best lines ever were delivered from Situate. But look at this, even this still frame. They're not cutting any corners. Everything is there. It's smooth. Like I said, even if this wasn't a Tolkien bastardization, but if they weren't pulling from Tolkien and this was just an original story, it's still not very good. It emasculates all of the men. Hera is at fault for everything and takes personal responsibility for nothing. There is, at no point do you feel any kind of connection with Hera. They do the stupid, I swear on all that I know, that they take this is like the kid in high school who only ever read the Cliff's Notes and then watched the movie and then wonders why they get the question wrong about what color are Dorothy's slippers, or how many musketeers were there at, like, to begin with. And it's like, obviously it's 3 musketeers. Like, why aren't her slippers red? Why is the ruby slippers? What's going on? Okay? So it is that person. It's that person who has never actually involved themselves in the lore, or they've done Cliff's Notes, they've seen TikToks of interviews, and they opened up a page, because here's the thing, when they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna stick to the lore. Here is exactly the line. This is the line. Here we go. Old kings that refuse a proffered staff may fall on their knees. That was Freka. That was in the movie. Now, Dunlending, you have only Helm to deal with alone and unarmed, but you have said much already, and it is my turn to speak. That's it. The 3 lines out of the appendices. Like, that's sticking to the lore, apparently. I mean, this was already a paper thin, like there was so little material, like dialogue material to go off of, but at no point is a daughter mentioned by name. She is mentioned briefly as the reason why Freka is there to, try and marry his son to Helm's daughter, because he's greedy and fat and he wants to stay greedy and fat and he wants the throne, but he doesn't want to work for it. He doesn't want to actually overthrow Helm because he knows he couldn't beat him. And of course, Helm killed him with one blow, which is where Helm Hammerhand came from. And then Helm died defending the keep with his bare hands, which is in the movie. And it's the still that you've seen on all of the articles and stuff that have been floating around. He dies frozen with his fist in the air. You want to know why he dies? Because his daughter was too stupid to stay hidden when she saw orcs. She snuck out of the keep because she found the trapdoor. She fell through the trapdoor, and instead of trying to find the mechanism that would let her back in to the king's chambers, she banged on the wall a couple times and yelled for her lady in waiting, who is the last living shield maiden of Rohan. FYI, that it comes into play later. So she's banging on the trapdoor. She's trying to yell through it. It's solid stone. Nobody can hear her. So she goes down the staircase, and it must have taken her a long ass time to go down this staircase, because in the meantime, Wolf, the bad guy, is able to do a whole lot of damage. By the way, massive freaking spoilers. Don't care. Don't waste your time on this movie or your money. I spent both time and money on this thing, and I regret that decision. I was so excited in 2021 when this got announced. I was ready. I was like, yes, way to stick it to Amazon. Like, absolutely show them what's up. And then Warner Brothers went full ROP on this crap. It's actually insane. So Helm dies because his daughter is too stupid to hide from orcs when she sneaks out of the keep. That is it. Her older brother dies because he's celebrating his kill on the battlefield. And her younger brother dies because, make this make sense. This is what I was talking about earlier. His horse is too old and slow to keep up. So he's captured by Wolf and then rides with his hands tied behind his back all the way to the keep, which is obviously not Helm's Deep yet. And doesn't put up any kind of a fight, they paint him as very pansy-ish, FYI. He has his little lute. He just wants songs of valor sung about him, and he gets off of his aging horse to fire at Wolf and the three other men that are with him. Even though he's supposed to be an expert marksman, apparently he can't take out 4 horsemen. The little did it, someone must have seen, or how did 4 horsemen not get past somebody? Because this literally is the apocalypse of Warner Brothers. It is just utterly insane. Hello, Father Miller. Sweet dreams. Thank you for stopping by. So her younger brother, all of the King's Guard rides past him to get to the king, who's got, excuse me, see how upset I am? Has 6 arrows. Has 6 arrows stuck in him. Not dead yet. And all of these kingsmen are to the king, protect the king, get to the king. Would you not stop? This boy is now the heir to the throne of Rohan. How are you not giving him your horse? How are you not protecting him? Why is he getting off of his aging horse and firing arrows at oncoming horsemen? And only 2 horsemen, Wolf and his general, Thorn, or not Thorn, that's the one that betrays him. Spoilers, I guess, more. I forget what that one's name is. It doesn't matter.
But Wolf and his general are the only two that ride up. So that means Big Brother, who is now heir to the throne of Rohan, took out two of them. And then rode bitch on the back of a horse the entire way without putting up any kind of a fight. And then they get there. There is literally, you guys have seen Helm's Deep, that whole battlement is full of archers. They have clean shot after Wolf is sitting on his horse. Nobody around. Nobody near him. Like, on his horse, heir to the throne of Rohan is not in any kind of danger. Not one of these archers who are on the battlements of the it's called the Hornburg at this time because it's not Helm's Deep yet. Who's on the battlements of the Hornburg at this time thinks, hey, maybe I should just put an arrow between this guy's eyes. Not one of them. None of them. And he gets his throat slit in front of everybody, and then they leave his body there to rot. Because that's actually the perfect euphemism for what Philippa Boyens and the entire production and writing team did to Tolkien's lore with this film. They just let it rot. It is unbelievable to me that this got approved, that this got greenlit, that after I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. 3 years in production and workups and storyboards. This is what they crapped out. This is what they thought was worth their chance at redemption, their chance to stick it to Amazon. I am aware that this was solely to distribution rights. I am not stupid. I am fully aware that this is what it was for. But my God, you could have done anything better than this trash. And now we'll get into how it bastardizes Tolkien's lore. First of all, as I said, some of these stills, they look great. They're fine. All of these pauses, like where they had. So this is one of the promotional stills that has been going around for over a year now. There are, so this is when she finds the hidden passageway, and her shield maiden lady in waiting can't figure out where she done went to. Where she done gone?
Through walls. Perhaps he can. The only ghoul haunting these halls is you.
Falls through the wall. Shield maiden, lady in waiting, walks in, and where did she go? Where did she go?
Where's she gone?
Where's she gone? Like, we're not looking over here in this perfect square that's cut into the wall for any type of mechanism. We aren't looking around for a mechanism. We turn around. Look, there's got to be something in there to open up that door. There has to be. But no, she's just going to go down the steps. See what I mean? Some of these stills are gorgeous. Anime is a beautiful medium when it's done correctly. But they absolutely destroyed it. So she goes down the stairs, and she goes down the stairs for a long time. When she comes down the stairs, there's ghosts down there. And the keeper of the keep, the old lady who's supposed to be creepy, that is a thing in a lot of anime. They tried to put Eastern elements into a Western story, and it does not work, guys. It doesn't work. I'm not saying you can't blend the two, but I'm saying the way that they try to go about this, it doesn't make any sense at all. Because they started with the creepy lady bit, and if any of you that have seen an anime know exactly what I'm talking about. And then, of course, it turns out creepy lady isn't actually that bad. They tried to put that in here, and it didn't work. So her lamp goes out, and she chases a literal ghost, you guys. This is a scene from the trailer where she comes around the corner and there's a light. This, on the other side of this tunnel that leads directly into the keep, by the way, are orcs. And, of course, a troll. And guess who slays the troll? I mean, obviously, it's our girl Hera. Our girl Hera is over here slaying trolls. Now, granted, she didn't do it in 15 seconds, and it wasn't a nice troll. But our girl Hera, yep, she saved her father. Saved her father. Saved her cousin. Saved all of Rohan. This selfish, petulant, horrific princess. Give me the days of self-sacrificing princesses, of humble princesses who weren't out to be girl boss phenomenons, who understood that marriages, especially as a princess, are political and they can prevent wars. She even says at one point, after she's been kidnapped by Wolf and his men, because she ran off into the woods by herself on a horse while being chased by a diseased Oliphant and managed to slay it using a monster you've all seen before. You guys remember Fellowship outside of the mines of Moria? Remember? Yeah, that's what eats the Oliphant. That's literally what happens. She makes the Oliphant chase her to its own doom, right? And she turns around. She sees the Dunlending general she's like, you were banished. And he goes, I serve a new lord now in the hills. And she's like, the Wildmen have no lord. And he goes, they do now. And then one of the other guys who was also banished, shocker, people who want to do bad things don't care about laws, put a brown bag over her head, throw her over their shoulder, and then just walk away with her. Right? And of course, her cousin was supposed to be keeping an eye on her. So after she gets, her shield maid and nanny saves her. This woman has got to be so old. And at one point, she takes Wolf on one-on-one, and she bests him long enough to get away. And then the two of them ride out of Isengard, because that's where Wolf has put up shop. They ride out of Isengard, and they go back to Edoras. Well, they get there, and Helm Hammerhand banishes his nephew. The Helm Hammerhand in this show is an emotional wreck. He is not the embodiment of a strong leader that would terrify armies that he destroyed with his bare hands, that catapulted him into he is the legacy of Rohan. That's why the Hornburg was renamed Helm's Deep, because of what he did. But no, instead, he also didn't have to freeze to death. All he had to do was pry the door open a little ways further, go inside, shut the doors again, because they haven't been able to breach at this point. And as he stands on the other side of the door, getting ready to shut it, which, by the way, 4 men can't get the mechanism to turn because the door is frozen. But the Shield Maiden is pulling on one side, and then Hera and Helm pull on the other, and they're somehow able to pry the doors apart. Don't even get me started. But rather than opening it a little ways further, he shoves Hera in, and it just proves how much of a wisp of a person she is. Like, there is nothing to her. And he's like, go, Hera, our people need... She's like, I need you, Rohan needs you. And he's like, no, they need you. Excuse me. Sorry, I didn't want to sneeze on you. So he dies punching men in the face in the middle of a blizzard in front of the gates of the Hornburg because his daughter was too stupid to not get caught by orcs. Outside of that, so here are all of Hera's brilliancies. She rides out alone from Edoras with a giant leg of meat. Like, if you guys ever seen the Flintstones and Fred pulls out like that comically large I don't know, brontosaurus leg or whatever it is, that's basically what she's got in her pouch. And she tosses it up to the great eagles, and then it lets her touch her beak, and you see the eagles throughout the show. So she's out doing stupid stuff like that. Everybody tells her, hey, it's a bad idea. You could have been snatched up and eaten. And she's like, no. I know better than all you mere peasants. I don't care if you're... Oh, look, here's the orcs. Ready? This is what I'm talking about. There's the orcs. They're picking up rings. They're like, hey, I smell fresh meat. Look, there's the troll that she slays. Runs right into another orc. Like this, it's like they didn't want her to be a damsel in distress, but they had to put her in situations where she could girl boss her way out of it. And it's freaking horrific. Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Do they show? Yep. Oh, Helm does get some good punches in. He gets some good punches in. Do you see what I mean? Look at the like, this is the animation that you're dealing with. 3 years in development. And like, look at this lining. It's like, I don't know. It's horrifically done. And you know it's not supposed to be that way because nothing else is that harsh. Like, this is what I'm talking about. It's just not well done at all. Okay? But, so, yeah, Helm punches a troll. They're looking for Hera. They've run through the camp at this point. They slid down. You know that when the Rohirrim show up in the two towers and they come down the side of the mountain? Yeah. Helm and Hera, they slide down it. I'm probably going to get hit for this. But, oh well. Okay, here it is. Look. The 3 of them are able to pry apart this door in the middle of a freaking blizzard. Yeah, okay. Sure, Susan. All right, here we go. Here we go. I'm going to puke again. Proof that she's a wisp of a girl. Look at how small that entryway is.
What are you doing? Rohan still needs you.
No, before that she says, I need you. Rohan still needs you. This tried to make her seem way more benevolent than she actually is. Here we go. Ready? Watch this.
Oh, Hera. They need you.
I hate it. I hate it so much. I was sitting in a mostly empty theater. There were a few other people there. One of them got the popcorn bucket that I could not afford, sadly. And like nobody clapped, nobody cheered at the end. I was listening to some of the guys that were sitting in the row in front of me, and they were talking about how the animation was not that good. Like it didn't like they were like, it didn't really feel like a finished product. And then one of them pipes up and they were like, yeah, I was kind of over Hera, like, in the first 15 minutes. I can't believe that we had to watch her the whole time. And then immediately, a girl that had come with them, she went on the defensive and she was like, what? So you're saying that a girl can't be a hero? And then all of the guys were trying to, oh, no, that's not what we were saying. I'm just saying that her character wasn't as well written as it could have been. And the girl was just like, oh my gosh, whatever. Like that, you guys are so sexist. And I sat there and I was just like, man, so I pretended to call my husband. I pretended to make a phone call. And I just started ripping into the movie for all the other 6 people to hear me. And one guy who was sitting in the row a little ways behind and to the right of me, he just kind of chuckled and was like, huh, it's true. I was like, what a waste. Like, this could have been so good. And it just wasn't. And the way that Hera speaks, like the cadence of her voice, bothers the living shit out of me. I do not understand it at all. Where is it at? Na 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 na. Oh, here's the eagle that she rides to at the very beginning. This is how the movie freaking starts. This is how the movie starts. Oh, by the way, that girl said absolutely nothing to me after I did my rant on the phone. And said that it was absolute dog shit in the middle of the movie theater. I don't care. I wouldn't have cared if that theater was packed. I'd have still done the same thing because it was horrific. So this is literally the beginning of the film. She can already do no wrong. The eagles are already there's later just a few minutes later in the movie, she is talking to her brother about how, did you know it's written that the eagles have their own language that only the wizards can speak. And then later in the movie, after she climbs a sheer ice cliff, incorrectly might I add, she climbs an ice cliff because her father was too proud to light the beacons for Gondor. He died. Why aren't you lighting the beacons for Gondor? She climbs up the rock face to this eagle's nest. And then it's like, I've read that the great eagles can understand the common tongue of men. And then she's like begging the eagle to help her. Okay? And then the eagle goes and he grabs Helm Hammerhand's armor and horn and flies off with it. Okay. All right. In that time, this woman has not attempted to, like, any type of negotiations. We're supposed to believe that Wolf is insane and crazy and mad, and he ends up stabbing his own general because he's so bloodthirsty to kill. He wants to kill Hera with his own bare hands. He dies like a dog. She takes him out with a shield, not just any shield, her nanny shield maiden's shield to the throat. She presses down on his esophagus and basically suffocates him to death with a shield. He is laying down prone on the ground. She grabs a shield, leaps on top of him, and manages, this wisp of a freaking girl manages to keep and pin a warrior psychopath pinned to the ground and kills him with a shield, but not just any shield. It's the shield that her shield maiden nanny fought with alongside Helm Hammerhand when all of the men had been wiped out. And it broke in that battle. And then Helm told me, it's not broken. It's merely broken in. Oh gosh, I wanted to hurl. Like, they really do think that they are more intelligent than they actually are. Philippa Boyens is a liar. She was always a feminist, but it has just gotten worse with time. And the fact that we were able to get the Lord of the Rings trilogy is a genuine freaking miracle. I am not even kidding. This tiny individual was able to outride, outfight, and outmaneuver seasoned warriors. She's the one that figured out that Thorn betrayed them because she saw a seal when she got kidnapped, and then she saw it again when the page dropped the missives, the responses, and she saw the sigil. Wouldn't you, as a princess, shouldn't you know this stuff? Like, that's the other thing that really drives me absolutely insane is these princesses are so neglectful of their actual royal duties that they don't know information that could actually make a difference in war. Instead, they're too busy trying to be like their brothers. But here's the thing, their brothers also had to study. Their brothers have to know sigils and signs and marks. They have to know these things. Because if you don't, you won't know who is friend and who is foe. But apparently Hera's too good for that. And here is the kicker of it all. Her brothers are dead. Her father is dead. She has summoned her cousin by way of Great Eagle because they couldn't get messenger birds out. And her cousin and his men were ready to abandon Dunharrow and go to Gondor. I wish that they would have simply looked at the story and been like, you know what? We don't need to make our own character. It's okay. We can do this. But they didn't. They literally girl bossed this crap. There's no morality. There's no hero's journey. Hera just starts as the best, as you can see in this still. She simply starts as the best and she finishes at the best as the best. And not only that, the rightful king, now her cousin, walks in and is like, it should have been you. You should be wearing the crown. And she's like, oh, it was always meant for someone else. So the only reason he has a crown is because she gave it to him. And then her father, at one point, you know, he's getting ready to ride out to battle, and she's like, she goes, I want to fight. She rips it straight out of it's Éowyn. Like she is parroting Éowyn's words. She's like, why are you allowed to fight for the ones you love? Why can't I do this? And he goes, you know, you have your battles are different than ours. This is not on you. This is on your brothers and I. Like, the people need you. They need their princess. And one day you will be gone from here in Gondor raising children, and they'll know nothing of the ways of Rohan. And she's like, is that what you would wish? For me to be gone away? And he goes, yes, so that you may live and I will have kept you safe. Right? He is being protective and fatherly and wants her to have a husband and children and a life. Wants her to have something like more. And at the end of the movie, rather than honoring her father's wishes, rather than producing a line of children and marrying a good man, producing a line of children and telling them the story of their grandfather, the movie ends with Miranda Otto. She says the same line that she said at the beginning, but then she adds to it, Hera, only daughter of Helm, wild, strong-headed, and free. And so she remained for the rest of her days. She died childless and alone because in Tolkien's universe, apparently family is a bad thing. Can't be tied down by no man, can't be tied down by no kiddos. Oh, if I get pregnant, I can't go adventuring. I am freaking flabbergasted at this point. And what really irritates me, they ripped line after line after line away from Éowyn. And not only that, they bastardizes the crap out of them. And the line that Éowyn is, of course, famous for, I am no man. There is a part they find, for some reason, there's a bridal gown in there's a bridal gown with the like, that's what you see her in. This bridal gown. Pose. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is the blizzard that claims them all, and then you don't even get to see Helm with his hand raised in the air. His death was completely pointless, and they try to make it look so badass, but everything that led up to it just makes it meaningless, pointless, and stupid, and all it is just makes me angry. So freaking angry. Where is your little horsey horse stuff? Where are you? Where are you? Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Doot, doot. There. Nope. There we go. That bridal gown, it was just chilling. It was just chilling. In a case, in a chest, down with the supplies for some reason. It was just hanging out. And in the Hornburg would become Helm's Deep. So she pulled, and so was this little tiara. And the old creepy lady that I told you that they weren't able to pull off. She's like, oh, that was for a bride who met her demise on that night that she was to wear it. And like, she was supposed to be, but it never happened. And they were like, don't touch it, miss, 'tis bad omen. And it's just bizarre. It was forced in here because they wanted to take that they're trying to rip off Galadriel. They're trying to rip off. They don't understand the imagery that Tolkien used. They don't understand why there was so much significance in what he chose to do. There is nothing here that is original or that offers any type of honorable adaptation of any of Tolkien's work. It doesn't do justice to anime. It doesn't do justice to Tolkien. It doesn't do justice to any of these characters. And Hera is an insufferable prick. The way she speaks, I've said this before, it's the pacing of, I don't know if that is how Gaia Weiss talks normally. I don't know if that is what she was directed to do. But she talks like this. You may wear a crown, but that does not make you a king. What the frick? They are attempting to go for gravitas where there is none. There is a point where Hera is talking to her shield maiden, whose name I thought was Owen for 2/3 of the film, but it's actually Olin. Olwyn. Really freaking close to Eowyn, just saying. It drives me insane. They're talking to each other, and it's supposed to be like this grizzled, seasoned warrior talking to like the new recruit or the young one and trying to bolster up their courage or, give them some semblance of hope or morale. And it just doesn't come off like that. It comes off as just somebody who's way outside their depth, doesn't know what they're talking about, and doesn't actually have any experience with what they are saying. The voice acting in this at times is perfectly fine, but they really suck at delivering gravitas. Like these women, these characters, the women who are voicing them, and the animation did not hold that type of gravitas. It's just... I don't even know what to say outside of don't waste your time, don't waste your money. It is a pure bastardization. And I actually hate this more. Do I hate this more than Rings of Power? I think I do because Peter Jackson is attached to it, and it is in the Peter Jackson universe. Shot for shot, Rohan looks like Peter Jackson's Rohan. Like the way that they laid it out. Which makes this all the more heartbreaking. And I just... So the whole... So she's in this bridal dress. And she literally... They take Eowyn's I am no man line. And Hera says, because when Wolf is just like, what is this? You dare come before me as a bride? To whom would you, you think I would have you now after everything that happened as a wife? And she literally says, I am bride to no man. I kid thee not. I kid thee not. I am a bride to no man. What? Bruh. There are 1,000 ways you could have told this story that would have been better than this. And you went with girl boss, the emasculate, like, how do you emasculate Helm freaking Hammerhand? How do you emasculate his 2 sons? One who died in battle, and one, like, actual battle, not standing on an Oliphant getting shot through the neck because he was too stupid to realize there were enemies around. And one tried to go out and find food because the people were starving. And he was like, I can't ask my men to go where I'm not willing to go. Basically, like, I'm obviously paraphrasing out of the appendices, but he was basically like, I cannot ask the men to go where I am not willing to go. And so they go out and they try to find food, but they get caught in the storm and they're never seen again. Like, what the frick? We don't know what happens to Helm's daughter. And even if she did survive, she's not riding off into the sunset with her shield maiden nanny to go visit Gandalf to talk about the orcs she found collecting rings. I am just... Warner Brothers, I've said this so many times. I called this 6 months ago when all of these articles started to drop. And I knew that this was going to be a disaster, but I did not realize how big of a disaster it was going to be. And then you top it. Oh, God. I just keep remembering stuff from the film, and it just makes me more and more angry. The thing that really pissed me off, I said it out loud in the theater too. And I thought someone was going to get mad, but then one dude, he was like, you're right. What she is currently standing on is a siege ladder. Wolf had the mercenaries and the Dunlendings build a siege tower. It took them months. And they breached the walls of the fortress. Like, the one thing that has been consistent. When Theoden King rode into Helm's Deep, the walls had never been breached. That is why Saruman had to find another way. That is why Saruman had to use a literal bomb to get into Helm's Deep. Of course, at this time it's called the Hornburg, but they not only do they breach the wall, about 36 Dunlendings get in. Her cousin shows up wearing her father's armor. Everybody thinks that it's the Wraith of Helm Hammerhand. And then they do remember the 2 towers? They ride down the side of the mountain just like Éomer and the Rohirrim. And here is the other thing. They bring up the shield maidens so many times. They're just like the shield maidens of Rohan. When all the men had died and there was nobody left, they picked up their swords and they defended Rohan because nobody else could. Like that's who the shield maidens of Rohan were reduced to. That's what they were reduced to. Replacements of the men. Not fair and valiant maidens. Nay. They did what they had to do because they had no other choice. Like, this movie can't get out of its own way. Warner Brothers can't get out of its own way. It is a waste of talent. It is a waste of time. And it is absolutely disgusting what they did to the legacy of Rohan in this world. that Helm Hammerhand has been reduced to a emotional, not clear thinking, irrational individual who puts his kingdom at risk multiple times because he's an arrogant prick in this film. He doesn't want to listen to anybody. He doesn't want to take anybody's advice. His nephew gets banished because his nephew is like, hey, we need to get our full strength because these guys aren't goofing around. And instead of listening to his nephew, who he adores, he banishes him to Dunharrow. I am telling you right now, the people in charge of this project have been corrupted by agenda for decades, like Philippa Boyens, or they have never actually read the books, read the appendices, studied the lore. They did not consult Tom Shippey for this. They definitely did not. Absolutely did not. I don't understand it. This is the greatest story in Rohan's history. Like, that was Theoden's whole thing when he died, was like, I now go to the hall of my forefathers, who in whose mighty company I will no longer feel ashamed. That was his whole thing. Like, Helm Hammerhand and Errol and all of these incredible warriors and rulers of Rohan, like the horse masters, they were able to carve life out of a harsh existence. And not just carve it out, they were able to thrive. They were able to have a kingdom. And this movie shats all over that in so many ways. And this is an attempt, like when they're doing their fight scene right here. The songs of my people. Like, note, everybody else is in brown and everything else is dingy. She is the only vibrant thing on the screen. This is a technique. It's a very lazy technique. But this is a technique for you to draw your eye to the desired subject matter. If you pay attention to the surrounding, like you can kind of see it here. The animation, like they didn't, the level of detail gets lost. It shrinks away. It is quite lacking. But she is the only vibrant thing on the screen, and that is not an accident. Obviously, they are very much trying to go for imagery that they don't understand, because this isn't like the bridal gown of the first queen of Rohan or anything like that. This is a random gown that was in a chest in the storage room. And she decided to pull it out because Wolf wanted a bride, and so a bride he shall get. So it's to mock Wolf. That's why she's wearing it. Not to inspire hope, not to inspire unity, not to inspire anything. It is to insult, belittle, and demean Wolf. This particular female is a horrific character for many reasons, but mostly she is not strong, she is not wild, and she is not strong-headed. She is selfish, self-centered, and a freaking horrible princess. She tells Wolf, I will not be married to you nor any man. I do not want marriage. Like, the way she talks irritates the ever-loving piss out of me. It's like she's trying to sound ethereal and like super grounded and wise at the same time, and it does not work because her character is freaking insufferable. But this imagery isn't to inspire anything. It is to demean and demoralize the man in front of her who had his father killed in front of him. Now, He's obviously not a sympathetic villain. He slaughtered innocent people. I don't like him either. He is a straight up a-hole. They deserve each other, honestly. But, like, you've already caused war because you refused to marry him. You've insulted him every chance you get. These are supposed to be childhood friends. We're supposed to believe that they were friends in childhood. Since childhood. And there is so much wrong with the way that they interact if they were truly friends since childhood. Like, it's mind-blowing to see their interactions because Wolf doesn't get his way, so he throws a fit like a petulant child. Hera doesn't want to marry no man because she can't be tied down. And so all of the innocent blood that is spilt is directly on Hera's head. It is on her head because she refused to do her duty to her people as their princess to ensure that they were protected, to ensure that the kingdom of Rohan would endure. No, she had to have her way. And guess what? At the end, she got her way. She got to go off adventuring and remain wild and strong-headed and free. At the cost of innocent blood being spilt all over her country, her two brothers dying, her father dying, multiple people of Rohan suffering, unable to eat, unable to get warm, unable to feel safe. All that because she didn't want to do her duty as a princess. Say what you will, but when you are royalty, yeah, you live by a different set of rules, but that also means you don't get to do whatever the heck you want. If your marriage will prevent a war, will prevent bloodshed, you do the marriage. That's how it has worked for centuries. And the fact that this film and modern day writing is trying so hard to reject what is such an innate truth, not just in storytelling, but in the human soul, I hope this crashes and burns. I hope it is razed to the ground. And I hope Philippa Boyens is so embarrassed by the reaction to that, because she said she didn't want to disappoint anybody, but I hope she is so embarrassed at this project that she self-corrects. Because that's what it's going to have. It's what it's going to have to do. Like, there is a part. It's the same part when they're on the freaking the siege tower, and she's getting ready to ride down to him. Right? Oh, by the way, she's the one that evacuates everybody out of Edoras because she knows it's a trap. Because she didn't do her job as a princess and study sigils and marks, and she didn't realize that Thorn's mark was on the table, so she didn't tell her father about it. So they rode into battle thinking that they had an ally when they really didn't, and they got betrayed. Everything is Hera's fault. If she had just been a noble, self-sacrificing princess like she is supposed to be, none of this would have happened. Where's it at? Oh yeah, there's the 4 men. The 4 men, come on. These 4 men cannot get the gate open using the mechanism meant to do it. But, come on, where's it at? I know you're here. Right here? Yeah. So this right here, the siege tower that they're on, breaching the walls of the Hornburg, which never happened. After she says, "I am a bride to no man," she calls Wolf a coward. And then his general agrees with her about Wolf being a coward, so Wolf stabs him in the gut and is like, coward or not, cowards still bleed red. Like, it's so bad, you guys. Oh my gosh. But there's a point, it might be like after they've sort of like fallen away from the siege tower or whatever. By the way, he hits her shield so hard that the sword lodges in it, and she chucks it away, and she thinks that he's still gonna fight. Like, that's how strong he is, and I'm supposed to believe that this wispy little woman was able to hold him off on her own. Like, it's just nonsensical. Also, it takes 2 Rohan guards to drag her away when her brother has had his throat cut in front of them, but she can easily be abducted in a forest by a brown potato bag over her head. Okay. Well, like, make it make sense. It's so disjointed. It doesn't tell a cohesive story at all. And I genuinely believe, so there was, if you go back, I have a video from about 6 months ago when a bunch of these articles started to drop. And one of them said that she had to ride out and find the lost shield maidens of Rohan. They get brought up in this film, but they have cut 45 minutes out of this film. And I am willing to bet that those 45 minutes were her going to get the shield maidens. And it's just, she's so evil. Like, I can't, there is no other way to describe this except that she is actually evil. Like, she allows her people to starve. Her father was too proud, and that's why he died, right? Because he wouldn't ask for help, because he wouldn't like the beacons of Gondor, because they couldn't send out birds to Dunharrow because they kept getting shot down by archers. But Helm's pride, the man who sacrificed himself defending the gates of the Hornburg, his sons who did their best to try and protect the people, they just can't match up to Hera. Like, guys, it does not make any sense at all. And I can't wait for us to be done with this part of history. These are the true Dark Ages, like really, truly the Dark Ages. She is insufferable. There is no other way to describe her. I am so exhausted. It's not even funny. And I am still so pissed that if I tried to go to bed right now, I wouldn't be able to sleep. Because this particular decision was made by people who should know better. It was made by people who were involved with the first Lord of the Rings. Like, these people should know better. It's truly not good. It isn't. They don't stick to the sword. The 2 lines out of the appendices and naming the characters, the named characters that are in the appendices, putting them in your film, it doesn't make it canon. It doesn't mean you stuck to the source material. It means that you put a gold coat of paint on a turd and tried to say that it was the real genuine thing. And it isn't. We are sick of the messaging. We are sick of the girl bosses. We are sick of the unearned praise and adoration and admiration and just the overall inability to tell any kind of good story. Like, this should not be a thing. Warner Brothers should have been able to blow this out of the park. And they can't get out of their own freaking way. It's wild to me. It's wild to me that films like this are not only getting made, but that they have the budgets that they do. And just
Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like
It's just super duper frustrating because they already did it fantastic. You already had the bar set so dang high. Like, you already had the bar set so freaking high. The echo is intentional. Yeah, the echo is intentional. Sorry guys. But she gets her father killed. She gets her brothers killed. The whole war starts because she refuses to marry him. He kidnaps her at one point, and she's like, if I agree to marry you, there will be no war, right? And he is like, if you still won't get married. And so like they tries to paint him as like this egotistical like prick, which he is, but like the man had his father killed in front of him after the woman who he loves, take that for what it's worth in this abomination of a story, told him that she would not marry him or any man. She, of course, I mean, she rides off into the sunset with her shield maiden nanny and, dies childless and husbandless. She has no legacy. That's what should have been told at the beginning when they said, do not look for her in the old songs, for there are none. It's because she ran away from her responsibility and didn't leave any kind of lasting legacy. That's why. There's no songs about her because even though she slayed 3 Oliphants all by herself and helped slay the troll when her father's punches weren't doing it, and was responsible for the starvation and displacement of her people, she's the good guy. I pray to God that I am never this selfish or this unaware of my surroundings or the people in my life. Do not watch this film. Don't go. Don't waste your time. It's horrific. It bastardizes the lore. It bastardizes Tolkien. It disrespects fans. Anybody that says that hardcore fans are going to love this is lying to you, or they have no idea what they're talking about, and they're just parroting nonsense because a third of the world's population are NPCs. Like, they wanted to, oh, look at this epic pose of Helm Hammerhand frozen with his fist raised, and he doesn't go to his knees. Like, Miranda Otto is literally narrating, in case you didn't get the imagery of Helm Hammerhand standing frozen to death in front of the gates of the Hornburg with his fist raised in the air. He's got his war cry on his face, and his knees are unbent. If you missed that imagery, don't worry. Miranda Otto is going to narrate it for you as Éowyn. This is wild to me. And they make Theoden's ancestor, her cousin, like, they make him such a pushover. It's unfreaking believable. She's not real. You didn't need to go this route. And yet, not only did you go this route, you committed to it 1,010%. Like, at some point, Warner Brothers has to get out of its own way. They either, like, I don't know what executive mismanagement BS is happening over there, but it needs to get straightened the heck out. And Philippa Boyens should not be allowed near any of Tolkien's works ever again, because this is her baby. That she has been putting this together since before it was announced. She is the one who is spearheading this, but they knew they needed Jackson's name on it, and so they slapped it on there. And of course, Jackson was all for it because Amazon ghosted him, which they did him a favor, honestly, bruh. But he slapped his name on this, and he should be appalled and embarrassed. And anybody that was involved in this project should be equally as embarrassed, because this is simply not good. It is unbelievable to me that this is where we have arrived in storytelling. We can't even properly tell the story of arguably the greatest king in Rohan, in all of Rohan's history, because patriarchy. Unreal. All right, guys, it's been about 1:15. Those are my thoughts. There's so much more that happens. I will be working on a video. I don't know when it's going to be out. Probably sometime next week. I'll hopefully be shooting for Monday or Tuesday to get that video out. But yeah, there is just so much to go over. I can't believe she dies childless and alone. Like, that seems like a horrible life existence. Vesperian, the glory of Rome is forever, $5 says, do you sense that this movie was made to steal Eowyn's valor? Yes, I was, Vespasian. This is absolutely, it usurps Eowyn's story, it usurps Aemer's story, it destroys the legacy of Rohan, it demystifies and makes the Shield Maidens of Rohan, which, of course, when you listen to the dialogue in The Lord of the Rings, when Aragorn is like, you're a Shield Maiden of Rohan, daughter of kings. Like, he makes them sound so incredible. And she is just... Everybody else dies so that she doesn't have to get married, is what this entire movie basically boils down to. Everyone else who is a male, outside of her weak little Sam substitute, because he's at the page that I told you dropped the missives, and it had the seal on there, the mark that she recognized, and that's how she knew Thorne was going to betray them. He survives, and he's the stand-in for Sam, and he echoes her line, let me tell you about the Shield Maidens of Rohan. Like, they took... So, in that moment, what they're telling you is she is no longer a mere princess. She's the Shield Maiden of Rohan, which is better than a princess. Like, the hate of femininity, the hate of family, the hate of strong masculine male characters, male existence, it permeates through this. It is horrendous. Save your time, save your money. Video will be out hopefully Monday or Tuesday. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for stopping by. It really does mean a lot. Vespasian, Glory of Rome is forever. Thank you so much for the super chat. As always, guys, you remain undefeated. I appreciate you so very much. You guys mean the world to me. And I hope that you guys have an exceptional night. I will see you guys at FNT tomorrow. Well, some of you. And I hope that you are having a blessed and charitable Advent Christmas season. God bless. Godspeed. Much love. Good night.
There is no curse in Elvish, Entish, or the tongues of men, for this treachery.
You just look at the source material and try and be as faithful to it as possible.
I kind of do both. I've lived through this a few times now, so I kind of understand that they're always on my shoulder for sure. They're always sitting there because you don't want to disappoint anybody, but also I've learned that you have to just make a great movie. And actually the demands of film are going to have to come first. And that sometimes means you're going to have to change some of the story. But we never do it lightly.
Our fathers speak as if I were not even in the room. I do not want to marry you.
We didn't want to put any of our own, certainly in terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in putting our messages into this movie, but we thought that we should honour Tolkien by putting his messages into it.
You may wear a crown upon your head, but that does not make you a king.
I'm playing Saruman the White, the Wizard in The Lord of the Rings. Wonderful role. And The Lord of the Rings is going to make cinema history. It's going to have an impact unlike anything anyone's seen. I'm totally convinced.
I am no man.